Okay, my name is Nicholas Havens Sr. I'm the father of Nicholas Jr., 13-year-old honor student who was murdered September 27, 1994. I'm standing here today with many of the parents whose loved ones were murdered by NYPD who are outraged. We are outraged at the fact that Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson has recommended no jail time for Peter Liang after a manslaughter conviction by a jury. That in itself is a slap in the face to us all.
Act the coward.
We do not accept it. There's no way that we can actually go with it. And I'm hoping that the judge just dismisses that completely. Because the reality is, once he's convicted of manslaughter, he deserves jail time. There is no way that this man, after a murder conviction, can walk free. We are not going to accept that. We are going to continue to rally and protest up until the date, and we're demanding that this man does time. Like I said, I'm standing here with too many families who have lost loved ones and have received no justice in any of these cases. You want to get the first one coming out? Let's have it.
My daughter Brianna Ojeda, who was actually murdered by a police officer who held her a block away for 20 minutes. She was a block away from the hospital and he wanted to issue her a ticket. He stalled her for 20 minutes until a group gathered and pushed him and got in the car and told my wife to go ahead, and he followed behind, and then he didn't go inside to the hospital. He did not report it. He didn't put it over the air. He didn't do anything. All he did was cause my daughter's death. And then he tried to hide. He shaved his head bald to alter his appearance, and we handed the district attorney the internal affairs interview, which he states that he didn't know CPR, he didn't take the class for CPR. All they did was hand him a book, and he did not read the book. Okay, he did not know CPR. So why didn't he take it into his own hands, put my daughter, 11-year-old child, into his car and take our block to our hospital? But instead, he wanted to change everything. He didn't want even nobody to know that he was there. He didn't issue the ticket. He didn't call it in. He didn't write it in his book. Internal Affairs charged him with 7 counts. Wrongful death. They charged him with improper official misconduct. Not writing it in his memo book. They took his badge and gun as soon as the interview was over. And only because of the corrupt district attorney then, Charles Hines, didn't press charges in 30 days, then they gave him his job back.
Which we had an interview with Charles Hines and then Governor Patterson, and they both looked us in the eyes and promised us before that they left that office that they would handle this situation. They did nothing. They totally went about their business, went on whatever jobs they went on, and left us hanging. And we are still fighting, have no justice. In the meantime, we have been fighting for legislation in Albany to mandate every 2 years CPR retraining for our NYPD, because we know in fact that they're not getting it in the beginning of the what do you call it? In the school, they're not getting it when they go for their training in the academy. They don't get their CPR training. They cheat on their tests. So Brianna's law will in fact make sure that they're mandated to get some type of CPR training. Even if they skipped over it, once that 2 years hits, then they get that CPR training. And if you go on my page, Coca Miss You Nuna, I have classes held. I have people that will come out to your schools, to your homes, to anywhere you need them to come and give you CPR training. There's no excuse for an NYPD officer not to know CPR. It's not just letters on the side of his car, CPR, courteous and professionalism and respect. It's CPR gives life. They can give them training to kill a person, but they cannot give them training to save a life. How ridiculous is that in this New York City that we live in here? This is for our people. It can be any one of us. Any one of us. It can be their children. Would they appreciate it if a police officer can tell them, no, I don't know CPR, I don't do CPR? This is all about reform. We need police reform. And we need to listen to our people, our communities. That not just merely say words, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. No, really do it.
Okay. Remember, there's a cover-up in every case.
Amen.
Mrs. Bosch, whose son also
Come, Miss Bosch.
was murdered by the police in her own home.
Good afternoon. I'm the mother of Mohammed Ba. I'm here to protest today, helping the end of Akagali, calling justice. This not happening today, always happened. My son Mohammed Ba was sick in 2012. I called an ambulance, the police respond. I tell them, I don't call police, go away, I'm looking for my ambulance, my son's sick. They say, oh ma'am, don't worry. Here is the system where you call an ambulance, who will respond first. When we see the sick person, we'll call the ambulance. We walk away, he knock on door, my son look at him, he too said the same thing. Police, you knock on the wrong door, go away. He tried to force and enter the door, my son locked the door and go back to bed. They dragged me outside with my family. Called a backup. I saw people coming with shields, with hammers and guns. I said, wait a minute, what you're doing? My son don't do nothing wrong, he just sick, I'm looking for ambulance. Please, let me talk to my son, he will open the door. They refuse, they make gap between the 5th floor and the 4th floor. Before the ambulance people arrive, they broke my son door, they shot him 10 times, 8 bullets on my son, from the head to the heart. Since 2012, I'm fighting for the justice. As you see, I'm not alone. This happen every day in New York here. This happen every day on and on. My son was an honor college student on his own home. While he was supposed to receive ambulance and doctor, as the police respond and kill my son. In front the parent, in front the people from the community all the time. We never have the justice as you see those people here. The police need to stop acting. They always protest thinking that they protest people when they're killing the people and go away. We need justice for Akagali. We need justice for all the innocent people who died for discrimination and racism. Thank you.
Like I said again, there's a cover-up in every case. They're trying to cover the Kai Crawley case up, calling it a tragic accident. He's not a threat. I want to bring up Miss Lopez, whose son was murdered in 2003. And I use the word murder loosely because that's what it is we're dealing with.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Lopez. My son was murdered May 1st of 2003. The cops said he killed somebody. There was a shootout on 685 Gates Avenue. And they said it was a shootout. My son was buying a CD on the opposite side of Marcus Garvey and Gates Avenue by the boxing ring. He was nowhere on the other side. When the cops started shooting, they was in their vehicle. And my son was running on the opposite side of the street. When they shot my son through their vehicle, they went over there and they said my son had a gun pointing the gun. There was no gun found on my son, and they dragged him, 3 officers, from the left side to the right, and put him in front of a church and by the 15 bus stop to make it look like he ran from 685, which he didn't. And when the reason why they did that, because they knew the person who shot James Hodge. It wasn't my son. So they did a cover-up. And when a cop exited his vehicle, he didn't see no gun. nowhere on my son. And they cover all this up on Charles Hines, ADA Charles Gurria, and now after all these years, I kept going on because everybody know they kids. And I went to Charles Hines and ADA Charles Gurria September 23rd, 2003. And they told me there's no gunpowder residue on my son, nothing, that I should get an attorney because the cop shot my son for no reason. So now it's going to be 13 years. And I had a meeting in Ken Thompson's office with my daughter last year in May. And they told me my son never killed James Hodge. He never was in the building. And they know that. So I asked, why is he deceased? He has my grandson is right here. He never saw his father. And he wants to know why his father is deceased. That when it was Father's Day to bring the kids to school, he didn't go to school because he said his father's not here. He wants to know is Ken Thompson, the DA, Scott Springer, Obama, and any other man can be, who's going to be the mentor for him, okay? Because his father's not here. He said it can't be his uncles, it can't be nobody else but his father. So he wants to know between President Obama and Ken Thompson, who's going to be the mentor? My son, my baby right here is going through a lot in school. He's an honor roll student. And thank God for 35. It's helping him to focus through. And thank God to Almighty God. Because if it wasn't for him and all of us right here, we don't know where we'd be at today. But I want justice because my son never was arrested. He was an honor roll student. He was getting his GED the next week. And he was gunned down. For what? They even put a hoodie on my son. And when we went to trial in November 2011, they didn't bring the gun. They didn't bring his clothing. ADA Charles Gurria told me in Ken Thompson's office in May. I said, where's my son's clothing? He said, we destroyed. We didn't think you needed no more. Okay? And that's a cover-up. And I want justice for my son. In the transcript that the church and the community paid $10,000 for the transcript for me. In the transcript, it says that the cop said when he exited the vehicle, he didn't see no gun on my son. So my son never had a gun. The clothing that the 3 officers said my son had on is not the clothes that my son died in that picture, which I have right here. I can show you. So that's to show that they just want to shoot, to kill, get a pension, get a check, go home, and do what they want to do while we got to sit and cry every day and bury our child. It's not fair. When they talk about, oh, their child is this, they got a car, they got this, but where is our kids at right now? You know, this got to stop. And why we have to suffer for all these years to get justice? Okay? They need to go get Charles Hines, drag his behind here, and then somebody need to do what they got to do to him. And let him feel what we going through here. Because this, enough is enough. We put all our hands in Ken Thompson's hands, and we want to know what he going to do. Is he going to help us? Because, you know, this don't make no sense. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up till I get justice. I'm not giving up. None of us out here. None of us. Because we're here today by the grace of God. It don't make no sense. You know, every day I cry for my baby. I cry for our college. I cry for everybody, everybody. And you know, this don't make no sense. I get up, I walk in my house. And my daughter said, Mommy, what happened? And I said, oh my God, I'm looking for my son. You know, and this is what I do as a mother. You go through your house, I have 6 children. And you know, 3 live for me, but it's my son. And I have to catch myself. He's not here, he's with God. It's too much. Then they turned around and raided my apartment, October 1st of 2014, beat us up, said I had all kind of drugs and stuff in my house. I didn't. And they don't have no proof. They come back again January 15, 2015, raided my apartment, took transcripts from my house, and when one of my sons came to the scene, he said, Officer, why you raiding my mother's apartment? He said, I know you. My son said, yes, sir. He said, we killed your brother. Wow. Okay? I came down here to talk to Ken Thompson about it, and nobody didn't help me. Nobody didn't do nothing. I went to Attorney's Affairs. I went all over. I sent media alert. I did everything because they still harassing my sons. My sons work at 35. My son's doing everything. They go to church Sunday. We're coming from church, and a cop rolling up looking at them. What's the problem? Why are you harassing my family? Do you want to shoot another child of mine? And right now, I'm going through this because why? You're raiding my apartment. They handcuffed him October 1st. Put a gun to his head. And he said, when they came out, they say, get him, get my son, this child right here. That he ran through the backyard, tossed my grandson playpen. And I said, ran through the backyard, he's deceased. I said, you can't read it here? He said, bitch, shut the fuck up. And he got up. And he said, my father's deceased, handcuffed, urinate on himself. And they told him, if you don't sit down, I'll blow you away. To an 11-year-old child in my apartment. Bust my daughter out and everything. This is shame. And I came to my house because I couldn't go because I was sick. They tossed my oxygen tank. They had me in a van, for hours, and they didn't find nothing. When we went to court at 120 Skimmerhorse Street, the judge said, where's the evidence that you charging this family here? The ADA woman said, I don't have nothing. She said, go. And I went back to court twice, and she said, you take this case to the federal and have these cops prosecuted. I had a family case in foster care, and I told the judge what happened. And she said, did you go to Ken Thompson because this has to stop? They're gonna kill another one of your children until he get up to do something, and this has to stop. And I pray that his office and the officers is watching because this gotta stop. An 11-year-old have to have a gun to his head because they raided my apartment? For what? And they're gonna say they know my son because I didn't give the case up, and I believe ADA Charles Govia probably lead them on because he was the ADA on my case and told them she's not letting the case go. Right. That's how it was. Why should I let it go? Because you killed my son for no reason. And then you drag him from one side of the street to the next side and put a hoodie on him and say he had a gun? Where's the gun? There's no gun. And I have the transcript that proves everything that cop said. And when we was on trial in November 2011, when the judge asked him, did Carlos Lopez have a gun? He got up and ran out the courtroom. And the judge demonstrated in the courtroom, he said, if you shot him through your vehicle, and when you exit your vehicle, where was the gun? He said, I didn't see no gun. So the judge said, how he gonna have a pointing a gun at you on the left-hand side when you shot him on this side and he dragged because the picture, and I got the picture with the bullet that the number 2 in the street where they dragged him and the blood is in the street. And then you got the nerve to put him in front of a church? They shall rot in hell. Yes. They shall rot in hell.
I got a place for them.
Because this is too much. This got to stop. It has to stop. It has to.
You're hearing cover-ups in every single case. Everyone who testified, you're hearing a cover-up. Peter Liang was lying on the stand. And it was proven that he was lying. It was proven that he went back to get to look for the gun shell. Why did he do that? Because he knew that once he got that, he could have said that he wasn't even in that building. I want to call up the nephew of John Collado, who also was murdered by NYPD.
Hi, thank you. My name is Joshua Lopez. I'm the nephew of John Collado. He was murdered by an undercover police officer who never identified himself in 2011. And I'm here fighting for justice, not only for my uncle, but Akai Gurley and every other family out here. Like, what kind of society we want to live in? Like, you can't go down the stairwells where you live in. You can't play with toy guns in a building like Nicholas Hayward Jr. or Mohammed Bad, that he lost his life. And his mother was just calling an ambulance to come and need some help for her son. And he got murdered. And I think DA Kent Thompson needs to be investigated by the FBI, just like these police officers with high ranks that been taking money, illegal gifts. And I got a feeling this the same thing going on with Kent Thompson. And the FBI needs to step in and investigate him And we need to do like they did in Cleveland and like they did in Chicago. We need to get him out of office. If he's not here for the people, he's not here for none of us then. And we need to get him out of here. And like Charles Byron said, don't make us bring Ferguson over here to New York. And you know what? President Obama, that's what he recognized Ferguson, not because another young man was killed by police. He recognized Ferguson because people rose up and people are tired of being killed, innocent people. And we need justice for all of us because we're gonna rise up, whether it's today or tomorrow, and we're gonna take our streets back. And justice for all of us.
That's right. My son Justin Smith was murdered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was beaten to death. It should have been a traffic stop. His lights were out. But I'm here today for Akai Gurley and to call Ken Thompson out. He campaigned by saying that he was going to represent the people. He was going to protect the people. He's protecting the police who killed the people. So he needs to be recalled if he's not going to do the job that he intended to do. He was supposed to be a DA for the people, but he's the DA for the police who killed the people.
They're afraid.
No justice, no peace, as Sonny Abumadika Carson always said.
Okay, we also got the honor Kiki Gray here. Want to come up and say a few words?
Yes.
Just a few words. Kiki was a 16-year-old who was murdered by NYPD, and it was just recently found out that the DNA was nowhere on the gun that they claimed Kiki Gray had in his hand. Kiki Gray was unarmed, and they murdered him.
God, you know, I'm so sorry, because honestly, just looking at you, you remind me of Kiki, my nephew. He was charming just like you. All the girls used to like him. The way how they slaughtered Mikey Gray, and the way how the media portray him as some gangbanger. Kiki loves school. Kiki was on the honor roll just as how you are, you know? And the way what they did to him was not right. This is the third year Kimani Gray died. And it's still, to me, it seems like it was yesterday. And it's never going to go away. And people say, why family members still continue to do this and do this? The pain still lags within the family. And it's a pain that can never take it. There are days you just don't feel like eat or get up, you know, or tears just come down. So for me as a mother, I give you a lot of respect. I'm talking to you because my pain more goes when it's more, not that, it's more of a younger person because you don't know how to cope with it. And just like how you lose your father, Kimani Gray lost his friends then. His friend right now, he have one of his friends who is mentally messed up, who was literally there and see and hear when Kimani Gray was begging for his life. And they never one day look and give these kids to like help, professional help, you know? So these kids are just still left on the street so bitter against the whole system because there is nothing there to help them. And they turn sometimes to the wrong thing, you know, because they're hurting. And we as society look down on them and say, look at them, they're out there, they're gangbangers, they're this, they're that. But they're mentally hurting and nobody here they paid. And it's really sad. So all we can continue to do is just pray for our loved one and hope for justice, which I don't see justice, maybe when I die, you know? It seems like they're giving us justice, but don't let them trick us. They're not, okay? They're using money to try to imitate us and tell us to shut up. This is what they're going to give you. But if it's time for us to really let the cops pay for these, what they're doing to family members, you know, and use the money that they're giving to cops to pay for family member in the educational system that could help us better, we Black and minority kids will be far ahead. Instead of we have to be on the street. So all we can continue to do is just to pray and hope. We are all a Kai girl.
That's right.
We're gonna realize and recognize that. Today, Akai, tomorrow, your loved ones. Ecclesiastic 1:9 says, what has happened before will happen again. There's nothing new in this whole world. First, giving honor to God for keeping our family covered and protected by His blood. We are here today standing in solidarity with one another. It's not only for Kai Girl. We are here today because our loved ones were murdered by the hands of those who took an oath to serve and protect. We are here because we are sick and tired of being sick and tired of this system. The systematic issues that has plagued our communities. We are here today because of police brutality by the hand of NYPD Police Department nationwide. We are here to tell the Brooklyn DA his recommendation to Judge Danny Chung is ridiculous and distasteful, not only to the family of Akai Gurley, but to all families standing here today and nationwide. Ken Thompson, what on God's earth were you doing or were you thinking when you decided to write that letter?
It's corrupt.
Were you thinking about Sylvia Palmer? Were you thinking about Akila Gurley? Were you thinking about the families of police brutalities? The word of God says, for what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Where's the justice for Kai Gurley? The justice that you told his mother you were seeking on her behalf. What if this was your mother, Ken Thompson? How would you feel? Wouldn't you want justice if your children was left fatherless? There's a saying that all like-minded people think alike and act alike. You promised this community when you was running. You promised this community, and now that you're here, you're still running. There's a saying that, like I said, that all like-minded people think. Since Bill Bratton thinks you made a courageous decision in that recommendation of no jail time for Peter Lear, let me tell you one thing. It's not. Your act of betrayal is cowardice. And to you, Bill Bratton, in the response you made that Charles Barron is close to committing an act of inciting to violence, but let me tell you, if there are disturbances, you better believe we will be looking very close at him and his comments, which are his potential role. That is your statement, Bill Bratton, that you made. And my question to you, are we in the threatening business or are we in the bully nature? Since when is a high-ranking NYPD officer threatening someone that's a congressman, that's a statement that represent this country, that represent this city, that represents this borough? Whether you are or representing the people, what about the people? The people that pays your salary, the people that puts you in that position. What about those people? Since you like to control people, how is it that you can't control those that you are over? Take a good look at your staff being investigated by the FBI. Corruption starts at the top. And you are at the top.
That's right.
Those that are at the top, you will fall by any means necessary.
Yes.
You will fall. If we have to continue to stand together as a family, stand together to dismantle this system, stand together until someone hear our voice and look at our children as human beings, then you're gonna always hear our voice. Have you not heard of the First Amendment, freedom of speech? It's okay for you, Bill Bratton, to publicly curse and disrespect the people who pay your salary. Really? You're one racist, and I'm gonna say it again. You are one racist individual.
It's not your loved one. It's not your child that was accidentally shot. When are we going to hold police officers accountable? When are we going to hold the district attorney's office responsible? When are we going to hold officers responsible for taking innocent lives? When is enough enough? Does it have to take for you to lose one of your loved ones? Does it have to take for bloodshed at all times? Well, we're here today to tell you enough is enough. We're tired. Mothers are tired of burying their children. Fathers are tired of trying to cover up or cover their wives, help and protect their other children because of this racist system. Enough is enough. We can't do this no more. Peter Leanne must serve jail time. He is no different than a Kai Girlie. What if it was a Kai Girlie that had shot Peter Leanne? Would you, Ken Thompson, write a letter to the judge asking for Kai Girlie not to spend any time in jail? Would you do that? You can't do that. You can't do that. It's a catch-22. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Your office prosecuted him. You got a conviction. Why on earth are you recommending no jail time? Was it your child? No. But your child, Peter Leanne, can go home, have a conversation with his mom, have a conversation with his wife, and have a conversation with anyone. A Kai Girlie's parents have to travel 870 miles to visit a grave. Is that fair to their parents? No. Is that fair to his siblings? No. Is that fair to his daughter? No. So what on God's earth were you thinking about? Peter Leanne blames everyone but himself. His academy instructor was not there that night. Nitro, yes, played a part of it because of the condition, no lighting. Nitro did not pull the trigger. Peter Leanne, you did.
Right.
My nephew's blood was left in that building. My nephew's blood is on your hands. My nephew, Kai Girlie, will get justice by any means necessary. Any which way. If we have to take this all the way, we will do that because this is the family that you don't mess with. The more you kill us, our family gets bigger and bigger. And we said no more. That's right. Our loved ones are important to us just like your loved ones. So Peter Leanne, say hi to your mom through the bars. Because the justice that I'm looking for comes from above.
That's right.
That's where my justice comes from. And we are going to get it. One way or the other. We are going to get it. April 14th, we shutting Brooklyn down. I'm gonna let you guys know now. We shutting it down because we're not taking it no more. This is not a case where you can say, okay, it was an accident. If it was an accident, which I don't believe it was an accident, his mother don't believe it was an accident, someone is going to be held accountable for Kai Girlie's murder, and those after Kai Girlie, and those before Kai Girlie. Because sooner or later, someone has to pay the piper.
Hey, my name is Bello. I'm one of the organizers. The top thing I just want to say is that on April 14th, we're shutting down BK. Right? We've been hitting the streets. Right. We've been reaching out to groups. We've been reaching out to individuals. We've been talking to one another. We could look at Thompson. We could look at Hines. We already know that their office is corrupt. It's already brought out. We already know the institutions like NYPD and the trainings that they get are to serve a white supremacist society, target black and brown youth in our streets. We know these things. They're not fooling us with half-assed justice. They're not fooling us with a conviction, a prosecution, and then all of a sudden, no jail time, no sentencing. Who brought you out, Ken Thompson? Or were you already brought out the minute that you walked into that office?
He was brought up before he walked in the office. He only promised the family.
What real estate interest do you serve? What organizations do you serve? That's the function of their office. Promote individuals that promote false justice, that promise false justice. We see right through it. On April 14th, we're shutting it down, alongside with that other genocidal maniac, Donald Trump, because New York City gets shut down April 14th, 10 a.m., Brooklyn, and then the rest of New York City gets shut down. Thank you.
Shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.